Let's take a look at our RIS100 material library, but for the PxrLM shader. So those are the layered shaders. So if we're going to assign LM diffuse to, for example, the seats in this cool Porsche model that we're going to use, we go over to the Lollipop shader shelf, we hit the RIS100 PxrLM button, and we see we have 100 materials here. This is the full library, and there's some red triangles and some blue triangles. So most of them are meant to be applied to the LM diffuse base material, but the red ones work on subsurface. We're mainly going to use the diffuse for hard surfaces, but we'll demo the subsurface as well. So if we select, for example, aluminum bronze, when we have diffuse selected, that's not really what we want for our seats, but just as an example, it shows it creates the node upstream here, creates the LM layer, and also puts in the description in the note section so you know which one you used. So as we flip through different ones, we can see that it cleans the upstream nodes and just puts in a fresh one. And for every different material, you've got that nice little description in the notes section in case you change it later. Now, if we select, for example, the red triangle with the LM subsurface, we need to select that, and then we just choose the materials that actually say LM subsurface in the red triangle, and that'll pop in those descriptions. And this one is meant for subsurface scattering, so we just want to do a quick demo of it, but for this example, we'll mainly stick to our LM diffuse. And we've got these color changing paint ones, which not only add the LM layer upstream, but also an SE expression with a whole bunch of code there to do vector math, but that has some nice facing ratio stuff. And if we go to other materials, it just basically cleans it up upstream. It gets rid of all those other nodes. So if we look at a couple of examples of the color changing paint, because there's 3 of them, you can see how it's changing on the grazing angle there, so it's pretty cool. Now zooming back in, let's focus on the interior of the car, and let's reassign an LM diffuse to the seats. And let's choose a material that is more like some sort of fabric. So I've chosen red fabric there, and we can see it just cleans it up and puts just that red fabric layer. And if we do a render, we see red fabric. Now again, the beauty of this library is it's just a starting point. You're going to want to tweak it a little bit, but this will get you 60, 70, 80% of the way there. And if we drop another diffuse node down and we select the steering wheel, we might want to do sort of a black plastic type of thing. I chose specular black phenolic there, and we assign that to the wheel. So as you can see where I'm going, it's just a really quick way to develop an entire asset where you have a lot of different materials. So let's do the gear shift and some of the steering wheel elements, and we may want to make these into like a chrome or metallic material. So what do we have for that? We make the selections in Maya. We assign the material to the viewport. We pop up our library again. And if we scroll down, we see some pretty cool like chrome steel and chrome. So probably one of those might be good. And sometimes what you'll notice is we have the pre-rendered swatch for you, but you might not be getting the exact same look. That's because your lighting is a little bit different. So in this scene, our lighting is slightly darker than when we made the swatches, and it's a little bit tinted to a warm color. So we might have to balance that with the lights just to get that exact look, but it'll certainly get you in the ballpark there. So I'm playing around with the chrome LM layer here, but if I increase the specular color, as I'm just doing a look dev scene, it sort of brings it up a little bit brighter, and I can go darker or lighter with just selecting the colors that we've started out for you. And you can see now we're getting sort of that nice chrome look. And if I zoom in, there we have a great starting point for chrome. So again, it's just a really good starting point to have like 100 materials here. And if we zoom out, we can kind of see the whole thing. And if we drop another diffuse, let's select the car body, and let's do some different kind of car paint examples, and that'll wrap up this video. So if we scroll down, there's a lot of different ones we can do. This yellow paint looks pretty cool, so we just apply that. It's a little bit more orangey. Again, I know I mentioned that our lighting is a little bit warmer in the scene, so we can change that color. We've got a good starting point. We can make it a lot more saturated yellow, a little bit too much. We can adjust it in here, but it's not just the color that we have the presets for. It's a lot of the roughness and the specular, a lot of different settings here. I like this violet acrylic one. So you get the idea. There's a lot of different materials to choose here, and if we look through them, they're great for developing any kind of complex scene.